School Board President Reese Fullerlove and Superintendent Dr. Carl Johnson are kicking things off with a behind-the-scenes look at what really happens when the school doors close for summer. From big projects to small details, they'll share how the district gets ready for a brand new year, plus the story of why this podcast was created to keep families and the community more connected than ever. All that coming up next.
And while school did get started, we wanted to take a look back and kind of pull back the curtain on this first episode, and we thought we would talk about all the things that go on during the summer that no one knows about. Why you can think the kids aren't there, the staff's not there. There's a lot of things going on during the summer that gets us ready for the next school year.
Definitely. What we're looking at is we have to close one school year and get ready for the next. Our fiscal year ends June 30th. Obviously starts July 1st, so we have to have everything closed up and then ready to go again. So I always chuckle when people will see me in the summertime and they're like, oh, what are you doing this summer? And I'll laugh and say, oh, I'm working. Why? And, because I'm a 12-month employee, if you will. And summertime is really when I need to be able to get a lot done. You're talking about budgeting, the school budget, talking about auditing, that happens in the summertime, all the grants that we have, and then all the associated reports that come with it. So it's an incredibly busy time for central office in the summer. And obviously I try to encourage our folks here to make sure that they take some time for themselves. So we have to coordinate everything and make sure it's a well-oiled machine. On top of what we have to do at the district level, we also have to worry about what happens at the building level to make sure that we have everything we need. We've got a pretty dedicated summer crew here. We've got a group that takes care of the grounds outside, so we can make sure that everything looks good when the school year is going to start up again in August. And then we also have to make sure that we get the interior of the buildings ready to roll. So a shout out to the building and grounds crews in the summertime. They're seasonal employees, the occasional college kids. We have some teachers, paraprofessionals, bus drivers who will also fill that role in the summertime. Another shout out I have to give for the floor crew. I get to see a former employee that I actually had at United Township, product of the Sherrard system also. John Michael Nelson comes back and runs a floor crew every year. So it's good to see him back in the district every year.
I think he's been doing that since he left the high school, and that was his college summer job, I believe.
Probably, and I'm just going to go ahead and say I think he's about 29, so, maybe a decade. Okay, maybe he's a little older than that.
No, that just talks about the kind of dedicated community that we have here that understand that our school district is kind of one of the big central things to our community.
Definitely. People, I guess I'm a prime example of that. I was so excited to be able to come back to the district that gave me so much. And, what can I give back? So I keep that at the front every day. And again, the summertime being busy, I certainly get enough opportunity to see what I can do to push the district forward.
So let's get into some of the things that are kind of that magically transpired over the summer that people might be able to see. So one of the first things that we talked about was all the way back in early 2000s when we added the junior high onto the building. It created this courtyard that we had in between, and it was a beautiful space. Mr. Kovac did a fabulous job of keeping that up. It was really his baby, and he did such a fabulous job. And when he retired, it kind of went away into some disrepair, and then we fixed it up again. And then, of course, it's tough sometimes finding someone as dedicated as Jim. And so we have for years been trying to find a way to be cost conscious on improving that, making sure we're getting use out of it. And we've been kind of spinning our wheels for about the last 5-6 years on it. But you found the magic code to find a way to make it work, be very fiscal responsible. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the courtyard?
Well, the courtyard's a very unique space in that it offers significant challenges, but also significant opportunity. If you want to have it as an outdoor classroom, that is a very specialized use, if you will. You need to keep the plants in the native state. You need to be able to label those things. You need to be able to have the upkeep, and it's an extremely challenging situation. Mr. Kovac did a phenomenal job for so many years, and we're going to kind of shift that now to, I would call it more of a gathering space. Another alumni, Ken and Barbara Hoffman, with Outdoor Innovations, they've done a great job in giving us some advice and drawing up some things and keeping our buildings, helping to keep them look good. And we had a conversation about what could happen with this outdoor space. And essentially what we're going to do from here on out is it's going to be a gathering space. And step one was to clear out some of the trees that, when they were planted 25 years ago, it was probably great, but now they're a significant distraction, for the maintenance, for things like the roof. So we've removed a lot of trees, we've removed a lot of bushes, and the first big step that we've taken in turning this into a gathering place is to install some brick walkways, and next year will be a brick patio. And if anybody knows very much about the putting in brick patios and walkways, it's extremely labor intensive. So we were able to use our summertime crew of young athletic people. Some are still students here, some are college students. And we were able to excavate an entire path, and there's a video out there on our website if anybody wanted to see that. Excavate a path around the perimeter about 8 inches deep and 4 foot wide. So essentially we now have a nice hardscape sidewalk around the perimeter of that courtyard, so that when people walk out there, it's not gravel or mud that's going to get tracked into the building. It's a beautiful paving job that the kids had done. So I encourage everybody to go to the website and take a look at that, because extremely labor intensive, but the finished product is beautiful. And again, we'll add a patio to that next year, and then we'll probably add some type of a shelter so that it can still be used for an outdoor classroom, but it's going to be enough of a showpiece that if kids want pictures in there after graduation or before graduation, it'll be a great area to be able to do that.
Yeah, and special thanks to the crew that really did that, because again, it is a courtyard. And so what people don't understand is maybe there's no easy way to access that. There's no, you can pull up your truck from the back and haul it through. You're literally hauling those bricks and all the materials through the school, right?
Correct. That means 8 inches of dirt has to come out and has to go somewhere, wheelbarrows through the hallway. Literal tons of rock. Mathematically, I think it worked out to something like 7 tons of limestone chips had to come back through in wheelbarrows, and then the pavers themselves. So the amount of hard physical labor that went into that was just incredible. But again, that's the great part of having that dedicated summer crew. They're extremely proud of that. We had a kind of a year-end celebration where we went up to Happy Joe's, and it was good to see the kids, how proud they were of what they'd done. And I got to give our shout out to our maintenance director, Joel Gallagher, and his assistant, Jim Morrison. They were always right there making sure that those kids had everything they needed. And then Joe Veranda kind of is one of our social studies teachers. He also runs the summer crew, if you will, for the outside. And he, again, was a phenomenal asset to be able to keep those kids moving in the right direction.
Great. Yeah, that's one we've had on our bucket list for a while. So I'm actually going to flip the script for you here in a second, Carl, because all these grounds made me think of something that didn't necessarily happen during the summer, but it was a big change that you saw the need for, is our old practice field. That was something that when we were talking about this topic, I didn't think about. It started earlier, but our old practice field actually got a mini renovation in. Again, some of the creativity that you had to bring that around?
It's near and dear to my heart. I have some titanium in my left knee, based on this process here. I stepped in a ground squirrel hole when I was a football player here at Sherrard, and just went downhill for the next 25 years until I replaced my knee. Great now, but I wanted to make sure that we had, a practice facility out there that helps our program. Essentially, it's been a parking lot since 1978, when the school was built, and it really wasn't much different practicing on that area than it would be out in the parking lot, the asphalt parking lot, because it was so solid. So essentially what we did is went in, we utilized our FFA program. They volunteered and they went out and they used the old school moldboard plow and essentially fluffed it up about a foot deep. Had the laser control dozer come in and make sure that everything is flat. So we essentially added about 50% to the usable practice area out there. And this is again just west of the stadium. And seeded it down. We had Diamond Ag donate a huge amount of fertilizer for that, so it's phenomenal and green. And we're keeping the cars off of it so that it will remain a nice facility for the kids to practice. Because when you're talking about being out there in cleats, for several months, that can take a toll if you're on a extremely hard surface. So that was something that we were able to knock out internally. If you were to contract something like that out, I mean, you're probably talking upwards of, $30,000-$40,000, and we were able to accomplish all of it for less than half that. So it's a very nice practice facility now.
So I would like to think I think last year we started to not park on it. Are we going to corner it off this year so there'll be no parking on it so it stays nice?
Correct. You will see one area out there that's roped off when you show up for the home football games or home soccer games, but there's still plenty of room out there to park. We've just roped off the part that was worked up and reseeded and leveled.
Any feedback from our new football coach and players?
I think Mr. McGuire, our new coach, wouldn't know any different in terms of how tough the old spot was, and I know the players are very appreciative of having that softer ground and nice lush green grass out there.
So while we're kind of around that general facility, we also looked at doing some things to upgrade our shot put and disc areas that have not had a lot of love for quite a while, right?
I would say they're probably original to the high school. So again, late 70s facilities. Todd Volkert, one of our track coaches, extremely involved, and Todd he's always doing something. He's just one of those busy type of guys who's always adding things to our district through his great efforts. Essentially he brought a drawing and said, hey, we've been to some facilities at other schools and they have these beautiful shot put and discus facilities. What could we do? So Todd and our assistant principal for athletics, Lisa Emmendorfer, got together, and lo and behold, here comes a drawing from Todd, and he says, well, this is what I'd like to see. I said, okay, so we need some concrete and we need some fencing essentially for the safety purposes. And the groundbreaking on that should be happening very, very shortly. And we'll have probably the premier facility around here. We'll have 3 discus rings. We'll have 3 shot put rings, and there'll be safety fencing around the discus arena, which obviously is good for both kids and spectators.
Great. Yeah, it's something that's probably been long overdue, and certainly we've had outstanding track programs, for decades. So it's nice to give that a little attention. Let's move indoors. We've had I want to think it was like 6-7 years ago when Mr. Boucher was here. We went from the Tardent floors to the wood floors, which I've been very, I think, grateful for. Both basketball programs are good. I think you and I were both students here, and we remember how not forgiving, no bounce, no play is the cool thing in the 80s and 90s. This is the new way future, but my knees still hurt. I don't know about yours.
Yes, unforgiving would be a polite way to put that.
Yeah.
I think I referred to it as they tend to eat knees.
That it does. So we've had it installed for a while, but it was time to do a little bit of our routine maintenance on it. But we did something a little bit beyond just the routine maintenance, right?
Exactly. We had last year we'd selected a new, still a tiger mascot, but a rebranding, if you will, and standardized our colors, so that if you see something with Sherrard or the Sherrard Tiger, that you immediately know that is ours. There's no longer going to be multiple versions or multiple colors floating around for that. So with that, it was time to sand and refinish the gym floor. And we were able to do that in the new colors and the new mascot, and it is breathtaking. I mean, when you walk into that gym, it's amazing to see that, purple paint on the floor and the bright, shiny finish. I think that's what a gym floor should look like on the first day of school, and we're going to continue that and probably put a light coat on it every year before school starts so that it looks like it's in tip-top shape every single year.
So we have been focusing a lot of time on the high school and junior high, but we've got 3 other buildings around in our district, and of course, we're super proud of the Sherrard Elementary that we got to host the ribbon cutting, after a couple snow delays and things last year, and the kids got some been being able to use that, and I think people are really proud. But we also do some other things too. What other things have been going on at some of the other schools?
Well, the easiest way to lead into this is Winola, which was built when yours truly was in 2nd grade in the district, still had the original front entrance doors, which were steel, and front entrance doors and salt in the state of Illinois go hand in hand, and those doors had started to deteriorate to the point where it was a safety issue. We really needed to replace them. So at Winola, we have the beautiful new aluminum doors, the whole new front entrance. Obviously, it'll be a little bit more friendly with all the salt that has to be used on the sidewalks and such. But as we started to look at, okay, we need new doors at Winola, we used something called the school improvement grants. In the state of Illinois, for the last several years, we've had school improvement grants, school maintenance grants, that essentially they're a matching grant. So if you have a $100,000 project and you can submit that to the state of Illinois, essentially they're going to kick in half. It's a matching grant up to $50,000. So we were able to not just put new doors in at Winola, but at every single school, we now have a double locked door, which essentially means you have to buzz to get into the vestibule, and then you have to buzz to get into the regular school. So as opposed to just having one door that you have to, buzz into to get into the school, it's now essentially what I'd always jokingly refer to as an airlock. So school personnel has an opportunity to see exactly who it is before they even come into the building, and those exterior doors are locked.
Yeah, speaking of doors, one of the things that I hope people saw last year was we added some nice graphical window clings that are both aesthetically pleasing. It really brands our district, but also has a safety component to it as well, right?
Exactly. We call them the window perfs or perforated, and essentially it's the one way, so everybody can see out. School personnel can see out, but anybody who might have ulterior motives can't see in very easily. So those are kind of a key component in making sure that the schools are safe and secure, and they look good.
Yeah, so that was a pretty good rundown of kind of all the things that happened during the summer. What's your favorite part of being a superintendent during the summer?
Favorite part? No 2 days are the same. That could probably be said throughout the year too, but really get away from when there's not kids in the district. You're literally forced to shift to suddenly taking care of the physical aspect of the buildings, the physical aspect of the grounds, as opposed to the human needs of of teachers, of staff, of kids. It's just a big shift. But again, no 2 days are the same. I find myself putting a lot of miles on, going to the different schools to check on different things. So it's a refreshing change. It can be a little bit demanding, obviously, because you have so many different directions that you have to go. But we have such a great crew here, and I have so much help with people that, put the district first. It's just kind of another way that I feel fortunate.
Let's go the other way. What's your least favorite thing about the summer?
Least favorite thing about the summer. We'll occasionally have folks who are extremely friendly and they don't have a lot to do, and they'll just pop in and see if, hey, what are you guys doing? Maybe make themselves comfortable, and, which means progress grinds to a halt. But, hey, that's okay too.
So we're going to start a new podcast called Therapy Carl.
Therapy Carl. Yep. Therapy with Carl, or for Carl would be better.
So that kind of wraps up our topics. I think one last thing I'll talk about as we talked about these projects, you probably wonder, how do we identify these topics? I know we get a lot of feedback from our staff. Our staff is really good at making sure that we have really great facilities for our staff and our students. I'm always proud. Sometimes I feel like even though our buildings are from the 80s, 30s, 40s years old, that they still look in a very pristine manner. And I think one of the things that we do as a board to make sure we do that we're very appreciative that you do for us, is usually in the fall, Dr. Johnson loads us all up in a little minibus, and the board goes through and looks at every single building top to bottom. And we're extremely fortunate that we have John Caber on our board, because he's actually a facilities manager for one of our local casinos, and he knows everything about HVACs and ceiling tiles. And I mean, it's not uncommon to see John grabbing a ladder, poking his head up into the ceiling tile with a flashlight, and giving us advice. So what is it like to be able to have a board that can really help you figure these things out?
It's a tremendous help for me, because we have a board who not only is vested, through their elected position, but they're also all either currently parents of students or have had students go through the district, and then bring a variety of backgrounds into that. So the tours that you mentioned are priceless for me, because we will walk in the building and just start doing a lap. And if you see something, I write it down, and then we prioritize a list. We price out exactly what has to happen, and we see how that's going to work with our overall plan. Obviously, we're always restricted by budget. One of my common jokes is all it takes is time and money, but the board is very dedicated in terms of making sure that this is what an outsider walking in would see. This is what a parent walking in would see. So we're making all that part of our strategic plan, which we've been working on for the last few months, and it'll be presented at the board meeting in September. And that the physical components and what we need to do for the continuous improvement of the facilities is going to be outlined within that strategic plan.
Well, great. So it obviously is what it sounds like is there's not much of a summer vacation, is there?
I do get a vacation, but I try to keep busy as well.
So that pretty much about wraps up this first episode. We promise that we'll get better at this. This is our first one doing it. This is one of those, hey, Reese has an idea. But again, it's really came from a lot of that strategic planning that we were talking about. If you'd like to know more about what's going on and what's gone on in our district, we'll have on August 20th at our auditorium at 6 p.m. is our regular school board meeting. But starting at 6 o'clock, Dr. Johnson does a wonderful job doing what's called a State of the District address. So it's about 15, 20 minutes. It's not incredibly long. It's not like State of a Union address, but it's a great update of what's been going on and where we're going. So look forward to see you out there. But the only way that I got Carl to agree to do this podcast is Carl made sure I had to put one section into this podcast. So Carl, why don't you talk about the thing I agreed to that you want to make me do for this podcast?
Part of the agreement was every time we have to have the song of the day. So with that, I'll ask Reese, what's your song of the day today?
Oh, for today, I just got back from work at our headquarters in Chicago. It was great, but we laid out some strategic plans and there's a lot to do. So I'm going to go with David Bowie, Under Pressure.
Good choice. I had a music teacher earlier in my career who claimed that may be the perfect song. I don't know enough about music to say yes or no, but David was convinced that that was the perfect song.
So what's yours?
I'm going to go with Oceans by Pearl Jam. August is a big month for Pearl Jam. They released their debut album 34 years ago this month, and every single Pearl Jam concert I've been to, with the exception of the one in Moline 11 years ago, has been in August. So it's just, I mean, every month is great for Pearl Jam, let's face it, but Oceans, what a great song.
So here's an Easter egg for people who see Dr. Johnson out speaking in the district. If you listen very, very carefully, almost 90% of the time, he will sneak a Pearl Jam, or if not a Pearl Jam, at least some sort of song lyric in his official remarks. And he does it so deadpan that you don't even know it. So for those savvy listeners, when you hear Dr. Johnson speak, if you hear it, send him an email. Let him know that you heard it. So he knows that he's not going unseen.
Well, it's all part of a grand plan. I have, 4 or 5 years left before retirement, and I figure for my graduation speech at the end of my career, I'm going to convince at least one member of Pearl Jam to come and give the address at graduation. I think it's a reasonable request.
Great. I'll work that into your contract, Carl. So, okay, that wraps up our first episode. I think it went pretty good. What do you think, Carl?
I hope so. I hope people enjoy it. I do have a face made for radio, so it should work out well.
Awesome. So we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be back next month. And again, the point here is if you have ideas for episodes, shoot Carl and I a note. Again, we want to make these fun and themed, not just here's what's going on in the district. So we hope to answer the questions that you out in the community have, and we'll talk to you again next month. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Reese.